Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are the BMSSA. In our last video, we got to discuss some ways to protect ourselves from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In today's video, we'll be going into the science behind the novel coronavirus and what makes this virus so unique. We'll start by going over the different types of coronaviruses. With the way that most people refer to COVID-19 as the coronavirus, it may come as a surprise that the virus behind our modern pandemic is not actually the only coronavirus out there. In fact, there are several strains of viruses that can be identified as coronaviruses, among which is the SARS-CoV virus that was responsible for the SARS outbreak that occurred between 2002 and 2004. The strain that is responsible for today's pandemic is formally referred to as the SARS-CoV-2 virus and has been infecting people from the end of 2019 to today. All three of the coronaviruses that cause severe disease, the SARS-CoV virus, the MERS-CoV virus responsible for Middle East respiratory syndrome, and SARS-CoV-2, or today's coronavirus, are thought to originally spread from animals to humans, though the exact source is not clear. Regardless, these viruses can spread from person to person very quickly. SARS-CoV-2, or today's coronavirus, is currently known to have at least 6 strains. These strains include L, which was more common at the beginning of the outbreak, S, V, G, GH, and GR. Although their DNA sequences are slightly different, they still cause similar symptoms. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is it about these viruses that identifies them as coronaviruses? We touched briefly on this topic in our last video, but there are actually several specific characteristics of coronaviruses that are unique to them. Coronaviruses are generally spherical or pleomorphic, meaning that they may vary in size and shape. They are also characterized by their crown-like spikes that protrude from the viral envelope. These protein spikes are called glycoproteins, which are the keys viruses use to enter the host cell for replication. It is not completely known how the COVID-19 spreads, but it is believed that there are 2 primary ways of contraction. First, touching objects that have the virus on them, then touching facial orifices such as the nose and mouth, and through respiratory droplets. The virus can actually survive for a long time without a host. Depending on the surface, it can live from hours to days. On metal, the virus can live up to 5 days, and 2 to 3 days for plastic. It can also survive in the air for up to 3 hours.
The virus can only replicate if it finds a host. Replication is very important to the virus because it must find a way to continue the survival of its own kind. By using cells' resources and energy, the virus can make more copies of itself to infect other host cells and continue the cycle. By using viral pathogenesis, the study of the process by which an infection leads to a disease, researchers were able to discover how the COVID-19 infects its human host. According to the CDC, when the SARS-CoV-2 virus finds a host, it will attack the cells in the throat, mouth, and nose. The cells in the lining of the nose are particularly vulnerable to the virus because they have an enzyme called ACE2, which they use to help carry out their functions. The coronavirus also needs ACE2 to be able to enter a cell, which they do so by binding their glycoproteins with the ACE2 receptors of the cell, and the virus is given access into the cell. When the virus has taken over the cell's control center, which is called the cell's nucleus, it will instruct the cell to start making copies of the virus. Because the process of replication takes place so quickly, it is easy for there to be mistakes in the sequences of the new viruses. These mistakes are called mutations, which can cause new strains of the virus to form. The virus will continue to multiply and may only become noticeable after a week of being inside its host's body. If the immune system is unable to stop the virus from multiplying even more, the virus will spread to the lungs and attack the cells there. These cells also contain the enzyme ACE2 to carry out their functions, leaving the lung cells vulnerable to the virus as well. When the immune system attacks infected cells in the lungs, it leaves behind pus and dead cells, which causes symptoms similar to pneumonia. The pus and fluid collects in the air sacs of the lungs, depriving other organs from oxygen. This condition is called acute respiratory distress syndrome and causes the patient to have shortness of breath and difficulty breathing. Acute respiratory distress syndrome can often be fatal and requires immediate medical attention. There are still many unknowns about the virus, and a lot more information is needed to understand how it works. However, by keeping ourselves updated through the CDC, we can do our part to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Remember to always refer to the CDC website for the most accurate and up-to-date information about COVID-19. Lastly, if you're interested in learning more about different illnesses and diseases, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content. Thanks for watching!